I think everybody should carry a check. Everybody should carry a check of what they think they want to value their company at. I think that's one of the most important things that you should do, because that gives you a north. And the days that you feel like shit, that's when you look at that check. And get used to rejection.
The Inception of Pig Floyd's. Let's talk about it.
Let's.
And not like let's talk about it in the way that you always talk about it. This podcast is more. I don't want your standard answers.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
What year was this all going on?
I mean, the majority of it was in 2013 because at that point, I had opened a restaurant in Puerto Rico in the back of one of my dad's supermarkets.
Okay.
That building goes bankrupt. The owner of the building goes bankrupt. And in bankruptcy court, they voided my lease. Which means they walk in, they tell you, you got 2 weeks to vacate the premises. And, by the way, I already called your bank. I'm buying the equipment from them.
Excellent.
So I have a thriving restaurant going on with doing events and everything. And all of a sudden, literally just turns off.
Right. The rug's totally pulled out from underneath you.
Yeah. And this is obviously, in my experience, probably the second or third time that happens, right? Because I had the rug pull from underneath me when my dad fired me in 2010.
Right.
And that's where Treehouse Truck comes about. And that's where I get into the restaurant business. So this was around June 2013. Literally 4 days later, I get on a plane with the clothes that I have back to Orlando. And I call a friend and I say, hey, I'm back in Orlando. I got to do something. I'm jobless. I don't want to work for anybody. So tell me, what restaurant should I open?
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, I have no money.
Excellent.
Yeah. I think I had a watch that I sold, and that was $5,000.
Okay. So that was all the working capital you had at that point.
Yeah. And then I went and bought a dog because I was emotional. You know, that happens,
sure.
Right? When you're going through massive amounts of stress.
Right.
I decided to take my niece and nephew and bought them a dog.
Okay.
Her name's Flo. Super cute.
This is the dog down in Miami?
No, this is the dog here in Windermere.
Okay.
Fell in love with it. $2,000. Boom.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. So now my capital is down to $3,000.
Perfect.
And I'm literally sleeping, on a couch. Yeah. And trying to figure it out. And obviously, at that point, I was talking to some people that I used to do business with in the food truck world. And one of these persons wanted to invest. And he said, well, we should do barbecue because it's the hot thing now. And there's nobody competing in the market other than, older concepts. And at that time, Four Rivers was in the height.
Right. This was when they had their location like on Fairbanks, and it was like line down the street.
And he was about to expand or close to starting to expand and all that. So, I said, yeah, let's do it. And I remember we went and tried to purchase a restaurant down in Ocoee. That was a barbecue restaurant. And the numbers didn't really equate. So we walked away from the deal.
Okay.
And it took all the way from July till about October to find Atila's Steak and Salad, which was on Mills, 1326 Mills, which is where Pig Floyd's is today.
Okay.
And they were selling that for $100,000.
Which is a steal now.
It's a steal now, but at that moment I got critiqued by commercial real estate brokers saying that area was C instead of A. Mm-hmm. The demographics weren't there. Why did you pay $100,000? Granted, I got seed money. I got $150,000 in seed money. which 100 went into that building.
Right.
And then I went and bought a smoker for 25, and I had 25 left in the account.
So now looking back, I mean, everybody will tell you, real estate people, non-real estate people, location is everything.
You hit it. You're so lucky.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're in the best location ever.
You're in the best location ever. Yeah. You're such in a niche market. Like, you're perfect for that. I mean, it's like anything, right? It's the same thing that happened when I opened Lake Nona. People would run into me like, oh, how's Lake Nona doing? Like, bro, ask me what's going on in my life.
Right.
Like, how are you doing? I hated that. Like, it's just people are very interested in, you know, obviously on how you're doing, and they want to know, and they want to be in the know of everything. Like, and I don't get it. Like, to me, I don't get it. I don't have to share none of that information with anybody.
Sure.
Now, even looking at my next venture and my future Pig Floyds, I have to tell you that it's super important that I open in locations, even if it's more expensive, that can guarantee sales.
Right.
Right? Because I think it's very important that restaurants as a whole decide, hey, we're going into this area. This is the area that's best for our concept. Here are the dynamics in terms of the numbers and all that, you know, comparable to my original location, which is Mills, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a homework that you have to do consistently with trying to get all the demographics to be able to match similar to what, you know, we're trying to achieve in the next unit.
Right. And this is the recipe that's working. So you obviously want it to be as close as possible.
Yeah, but the recipe that's working is not always the right one, right? Unfortunately, sometimes you got to try it out and see and take risk, and it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. I mean, obviously with COVID, that made something that so much harder to be able to make it through, and you have to make a financial decision now. But other concepts have closed plenty of restaurants as they move forward in their growth.
Right.
So it's not a non-normal operating situation.
Sure.
Right. So location, yeah, it's definitely really important. And I think more than anything is that you know your customer base and you study it ad nauseum. Like, you know, you got to know exactly who is your customer. Why are they walking into the door? What do they like? What do they eat? How do they act?
Why are they coming back?
Right. So that's why companies like Amazon and other companies that are in the retail business that study consumers and know their patterns basically succeed, right? Because they're going to put in your face exactly what you want.
Right. So going back to opening the restaurant, you had about $25,000 left. What did you do?
Because I always like to jump ahead, I had asked for them to tear up the inside of the building. So I had to pay that.
Okay.
So my money's dwindling down. And at this point, I've given 5 presentations. And of these 5 presentations, nobody wanted to invest.
So are you losing hope at this point? Like, are you literally
I was not only losing
bullets?
hope, I was not sleeping, right? Because now I have a family debt. Second of all, I had bought a location that I was paying already rent, okay? And third of all, I couldn't find money.
Right.
So I went at it the wrong way. And obviously when you go at things the wrong way, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
Sure.
I got really lucky that somebody from the other side of the world decided to move to Orlando. And I met this person, and literally the question was, I'm looking to invest in a restaurant. Do you know of anything? I said, yes.
Yes, I do.
I happen to know of something. I have this plan. I had hired a CFO that was very experienced in the restaurant world.
Okay.
So, you know, I like to say that I'm intelligent, but not super intelligent. So I hire the right people. You know, you've heard that.
I've heard that a few times.
I like to hire really intelligent people. So I hired the CFO. He was one of the first CFOs for Olive Garden. So he knew, you know, the magic behind growth and, creating spreadsheets and all that, which is super important when you're going out to looking for money. And we gave the presentation, we killed it, and the person invested. That person got probably the best deal they've ever gotten in their life. She got paid last year.
Okay, so you found this investor, and then the renovation began. And then, did you get a lot of criticism about this? Because obviously, the location was kind of like an institution in that area.
Oh, let me tell you something. I almost sold the location
before you ever opened.
Yeah, because I couldn't find the investor, so I almost sold. I went and said, "Okay, let me sell it to see if I could get some of the cash out."
Right.
I think I had 3 people interested in it. And literally, like, I was a week away from just making the decision and going for it. And boom, I found the investor. So, they say those things, you're pretty close, and all of a sudden you make a decision and boom, it works out. Yeah. It did. But I guess I'm a strict believer in, fate.
Right.
And that was my fate.
Were you just constantly being faced with different challenges and then delayed with permitting? And now, again, your cash flow is dwindling?
I think everybody in the city of Orlando knew me by first name basis.
Okay.
And I visited, I think, the city so much that I don't know how they didn't put me in the security.
You should have had like the ID badge.
The ID badge, yeah.
Were able to get in, no
problem.
problem.
Not that. Not only that, like, I don't think they liked me very much because I was insistent, and I used to sit in their desk and say, like, you gotta sign this right now. Like
I got to go.
I got no money. Like everything, right? Your budget runs out.
Right.
And my budget ran out. We opened in September. My budget kind of was running out in June.
Okay. So you still had like a few months.
I needed $100,000 more.
All right.
Obviously, nobody knew.
Right.
Just me. So I went out and I looked for more money. And, like I said, fate. This person just sold their business and decided to invest $100,000. And
that's incredible.
Yeah. No contract.
Wow.
No contract at that point.
Just like a handshake?
Handshake deal, which I've always done handshake deals and I've always come across, but I mean, I couldn't believe it, right? So.
And is that something you've learned from your dad?
I think old school ways were handshake deals. I think a lot of people though forget what they handshaked.
Yeah. All right. So this is like June. You found some more money. The store opens in September.
I was out of money. I remember paying my supplier with a credit card.
Wow.
And I said, if we don't open September 11th, I don't know how we're going to do this.
No questions. September 11th, that's when you have to open.
Oh, we open.
And there needs to be a line around the block.
I didn't expect that. Believe it or not, I didn't expect that. I mean, I told everybody to not be ready to. I don't think anybody's going to show up. But that's typical, right? That's typical of like entrepreneurs. I think I came up with a great idea, but nobody's going to show up for this.
Nobody's going to love it. Nobody's
going to love
care.
it. Everybody's going to hate it. Here we go. Like, right? All of a sudden, first day, I remember I said, maybe 100 people will show up because we're opening for dinner only. We obviously overcooked, which was fine. And we sold out within 2 hours.
Wow.
I think we did 2 weeks where we only did dinner because we weren't able to keep up.
With production,
with
staffing,
with
everything?
staffing and everything, yeah. I mean, we were overstaffed. Obviously, it was a great time in staffing world. Not what we have now, but
completely different.
Completely different atmosphere, staffing wise. So I think it's obviously great that it happened that way, and my cash flow started, going up. Obviously, when money starts coming in. And I think the first 3 or 4 months were a little rough because that's when you're trying to balance out food costs, labor, and all those things. And I think we didn't budget for that. And so we had a difficult time at that moment. My investor came down on me pretty hard.
Because your margins were just all over the place.
My margins were not there. And that's where, obviously when you have somebody that's working 18, 20 hours in a restaurant and you tell them that they're doing a shit job.
Then they just wanna,
I went nuts.
Yeah, bang their head up against the wall,
Yeah.
lose it.
I mean, if I went nuts.
Okay.
I don't go nuts very often.
No, you don't go nuts very often.
I
I think
lose
I've
my
only
cool.
seen it maybe like once, and
On a phone.
yeah, and it's
Not
been
in person.
Not in person. Yeah. So it's a pretty good ratio. Yeah. Okay, so a couple months in, you're starting to figure things out, and then what? You're just like, okay, we're in a groove, and the wheels just keep turning.
Yeah, I mean, I had a situation where I had a chef that was working with us, and the chef decides to leave in January.
Okay.
So that was a little bit of a buzzkill. But I think it was best for him. It was best for us. It was at that point. Maybe I regret it a little bit, that I didn't work that out. But I think that situation really made me focus on food quality and figuring out what was working and not working, right? Our menu hasn't changed that much. We've added stuff, but basic recipes have not changed that much. Sure. So we worked through that, and, we had a great staff. I think they were all responsible for the success of Pig Floyd's. And 2014, obviously didn't start as planned, but 15 just took off. Literally just February, it just started.
Okay.
And we did a lot. We exceeded the budget within the first month of operations. So the restaurant was making money within the first month, but it wasn't what we expected, right? Percentage-wise.
Right.
You always want restaurants to make 15% to the bottom line. And we weren't close to that, but we were making money. We weren't losing money, sure. which is
a huge win.
It's a huge win. I mean, you're opening doors and you're not losing money. You're going
right.
You're going somewhere.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's the story, because I think everybody thinks that it was like, oh, he had the money, he had everything set up, everything organized. I didn't have anything. Like, I was working through the seam of my pants. Is that the saying? Right? I think.
I'm not sure that's the saying, but
okay,
we can go with
whatever.
it.
That's the saying. Okay. Yeah, like, just I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I had done a food truck, I had done a restaurant, but it was completely different. First of all, I don't know how to cook barbecue. I learned on YouTube, and then we did the recipes over 3 months. Yeah, and you build a menu over time. We tried a bunch of stuff, and then you get into, what works or doesn't work. So at the end of the day, I mean, I couldn't say like, oh yeah, I'm an experienced restaurateur that's doing this project and it's going to come out all perfect. Which there's plenty of those out there.
There are plenty of those.
And now I know a lot.
Now looking back, when you're kind of going back to location and now talking about expanding, you know what you want in terms of like demographic, and even if you have to pay a little bit more for the space, as long as, you think you're going to see the sales in return, you're fine with it. But when you look at Mills structurally, what is it like? Is there anything that you hate that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe we did this? What do you love about it? What are the things that you're like, I have to do this in every concept and location that I go to next?
Yeah, there's certain things that you have to do, right? For example, our line is short, so that lines are standing outside and it's visible to the street. That's always important. That's always my food truck mentality. Mm-hmm. Coming back, I always had long lines because I was slow, right? But that helped for my sales because burgers take a long time to cook.
Right.
But barbecue is already cooked, so it's kind of easy to, to be able to do right in terms of ticket times.
Right. Push out product fast.
Push out product. So that's one of the things. I think bars are really important. People really like bars. They like to sit at the bar. They like to see the action. Mm-hmm. And our kitchen is really open. So I think you have to build a bar. I think one of the mistakes that I did in Mills actually worked in favor is low roof, low ceiling height.
Okay.
It makes it warmer. People feel
Feels
more
intimate.
at home. It feels intimate. It's a little dark in there.
Feels like you're really in it.
So some of the things that I thought were wrong and I did in my second store are some of the things that really build the concept. So you learn that. And obviously in the back, for example, I like to build a bigger smoker area so they have more space.
Sure.
Our kitchen is super tight. I mean,
So small.
But efficiently, at the end of the day, we're 1,600 square feet. In the restaurant world, I don't know if you know this, but it's basically sales per square foot. If we were to take the restaurant sales per square foot, we are double industry standard.
Whoop, whoop.
Actually, almost double of the highest per square foot in industry standard. So, I mean, we're doing really well for square footage.
So in terms of square footage, do you think that you're kind of reaching capacity at this location? What is your next step? Do you kind of feel like you need to start smoking 24 hours a day? Do you want to expand in any way? Can you expand in any way? Did you even think about that when you were opening?
No.
None
I
of
told you I didn't think this was going to work.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I was just going to have like, okay, it's a successful restaurant, whatever. But
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, nothing crazy. I was going to be like, okay, I'll build a couple of these and then,
Keep it moving.
keep it moving. And obviously it took a life of its own and now it's become a brand. But it's not a brand due to me. I mean, I play a factor in it, but I think a lot of people that have helped build the brand in the last 7 years, especially our guests,
Right.
we're so guest focused and making sure that the experience is right. That's really who pays our bills.
Definitely.
They used to tell me that we're in the asshole business.
Okay.
Have you ever heard that?
Expand. No, I haven't heard that.
There's a couple of things that they say in the restaurant business, right? We're in the asshole business because we have to make sure that we take care of assholes because assholes go out and tell their friends
Right.
about shitty experiences.
I could see that.
I'm just saying there's a lot of people that are very specific, and those are the people that you have to take best care of.
Indeed.
And we try our best, but sometimes they go on social media or they go on Yelp and they
Write a 1-star review.
1-star review because there's no vegan food. What in the literal F do you think we sell?
Right.
I think we sell meat, right? It says pig outside. Do you think I'm going to be vegan? No. I have vegetarian options and I want to be,
All inclusive.
But it just doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. It's really hard.
It's really hard. I mean, cross-contamination, lawsuits, all these things. People don't understand. It's just like, and now going into another business that, deals with flour and people want non-gluten items. Yeah. How hard is that?
It's so hard.
Don't you want non-gluten items?
I want a gluten-free pizza.
Yeah, Jenna eats gluten-free.
Yep.
We're trying to accommodate,
Dairy-free.
but then all of a sudden flour, travels around the air.
It's challenging.
A lot of things that come out of the restaurant that were mistakes worked for the concept. And a lot of things that I thought didn't worked for the concept. So then you go, now you have a location. How do I copy this and make this, over and over again so that I can open 50 restaurants? Because that's what I want to do. I want to open 50 Pig Floyds.
Excellent goal. I want to be there to open 49 more.
I carry my check,
You carry your check. Okay, so tell us what the check is because not everybody knows.
I carry a check that I wrote myself in 2017 for an amount of what I want to sell my company for when I reach 50 units.
Perfect.
That check travels everywhere.
It's a daily reminder.
Daily. And when I feel shitty, I look at the check.
You look at the check.
And I look at rejection letters from investors for expansion.
Wow. Okay.
Which I have saved in my email.
They're starred.
Starred in their own folder. And I go in there and I read them.
And it just fuels you.
It just, pisses me off. Yeah.
Rage is your fuel.
No, it's not rage. I'm not a rage guy, but I have to tell you, it's very important that you have a north. And when people tell you that you can't reach that north, It's something that you have to prove to yourself that you can do, right? I think even, and I'm oversharing, but I mean, since I was 21, I've been to a psychologist because I always wanted to get better as a human.
As a human.
And, you know, you work through things, and I've been seeing the same psychologist now for 16 years. She's great. And we work through stuff, and, you know, I've worked through my weight gains, through my things, through my business, through my family. Like, that's what people try to do, right? They try to make a plan and try to execute it, and
sure,
hopefully they get to it. Not a lot of people go into the restaurant business with a plan, though.
Right.
I get a lot of questions from people like, hey, I want to go in the restaurant business. I want to do this. Great. And I'm asking, like, how many stores can we open? Right?
Or do you think it's also the other end of the spectrum where it's like they've overplanned, but they don't know how to execute any of it?
Well, I mean, I think there's a happy medium there. My happy medium doesn't exist. I go.
Right.
I have no money. I go. Like, I figure it out. Other people are like, I got a plan. I got to make sure the money's in the bank.
Before they do
anything. And it's just basically like they're spinning their wheels because it doesn't happen that way.
Right.
It's the same thing what happened in June when we closed Lake Nona. Like, I sat in my house for maybe a week, depressed as fuck.
Sure.
And I was like, why don't I just sell this and get out of it and go do real estate? It's going to be easier. I can kill it in real estate. I mean, if I put all the energy that I put into this restaurant
right.
into any other business, I'm pretty sure that we're going to do okay.
Right. You're going to be successful.
Right. So at that point I said, well, I mean, you've always heard about burning the boats. And I said, no, I got to double down in the restaurant business. This is what I know. This is what I am. Right. And that's where this new concept that's coming up
is happening. Okay.
And I signed a contract with, you know,
right,
with no plans.
Just an idea, really.
Just an idea, and saying, hey, we're going to do this. Don't worry about it.
Right.
It's going to be fine.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. So I take that sort of step because I have no fear of failure.
Right.
I've slept on a couch. I've had no money. I've been successful. I've been not very successful. I've been sitting in a Taco Bell with no money to pay for my new engine for the truck and crying like a little baby because I don't know what I'm going to do.
Sure.
So I think, and when I was 21, I mean, and I graduated and I did real estate, I mean, I killed it. And all of a sudden the market just crashed on me.
And then you weren't killing it.
And I wasn't killing it. And I had my $9,000 a month in car bills that I was trying to figure out how to pay. So I went a little bit crazy in that time.
Sure.
But I learned my lesson.
So at the end of the day, location is everything.
Location is everything.
And you're always going to take that leap of faith.
Yeah, I think people in business as a whole, I think a lot of people, they plan so much. I think sometimes it's a redundancy of planning. Like, and it gets to a point where it's just like, we're going to do this or what?
Sometimes it's a defense mechanism, right? Like planning equals fear. Perfection can equal fear. And I just say that from experience.
Are you a fearful person?
I mean, definitely. Like,
yeah.
You always push me out of my comfort zones. You're like, let's just go. We're doing it. Like,
yeah. With everything in the brand specifically, like, I'm pretty open to do anything once. And even if it costs us money, right, we'll take the risk and see if it works out. If you don't try it, it's not going to happen. Like, I mean, we put chicharrones on the menu in an hour. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? But for other people, it might be a big deal. Who knows?
Oh, definitely.
Right? Which I didn't copy from anybody, by the way, because there's this stigma in Orlando that people, everybody copies from other restaurants. Like, stop it.
Right.
Recipes are out there. The internet is out there. Nobody owns recipes. Everybody can do whatever they want.
Correct.
Okay? So if restaurant owners are listening to this,
you can do what you want.
You could do what you want. If you want to do barbecue, go ahead. I'll give you the recipe.
We're just trying something and doing it.
Yeah. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I sell tacos. We sell breakfast tacos. We sell chicharrones. We sell whatever we can do. Bento boxes. That's it.
Pulled pork. Anything and everything.
Yeah. So I guess we talked about the inception and we talk about selection and location, right? So I think the next step is talking about expansion. And that's what we're probably going to talk about in the second episode, right?
Episode 2, expansion.
Expansion.
Yes.
And the future of what we're trying to do.
Yes, and not just Pig Floyd's, but as a brand.
Well, as a brand, as a restaurateur, like how do you look at it? Like, how do you look at the different analysis now that COVID exists and has changed the atmosphere? What do you go into? Hint, hint, pizza. So we'll talk about that concept next episode, and we'll talk about future expansion for Pig Floyd's because I still want my 50 stores. Remember the check. I think everybody should have a check.
Everybody should have a check.
Everybody should carry a check in their pocket.
Something that they look at.
Every day.
Every day.
Look at that check every day.
Manifest the best.
Yes.
Did you learn this check carrying from your dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he got that check.
Got it.
When you saw the check, I mean, my check is 4 times bigger than his.
Wowza.
Yeah. But, yeah, the multiples are different.
Right. It's different.
It's a different business. But I have to tell you that manifestation, right, or plan that he wrote down came about because he visualized it, he worked on it, he became obsessed with it.
He told everybody about it.
Everybody. I mean, you know the number of times that I heard his story, and I still hear it because sometimes we talk about the past as you get older.
Sure.
Yeah. So then you look at that and you say, hey, that's obviously a prime example of something that works out.
Yeah.
Right? And I've sat down with other people that believe in that, and they've played it out, and it's played in their favor. But I just see a lot of, dwindling out there.
Sure. But you think that's more just like talking, not necessarily doing.
I think there's a lot of talking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talking. But, I mean, I think people should go out and, I became obsessed with finding people that were in the restaurant business, that were executives in the restaurant business.
Sure.
That knew the business really well, and I wanted to know them. And I know it sounds weird, but for example, I was smoking cigars all the time at Corona down in Sand Lake, and there was this one gentleman that used to go every night, and they told me that he was a guy that was an executive in Darden, and I literally tried to sit closer and closer every day until I met him. And nowadays, he is one of my advisors.
That's awesome.
Right? He didn't believe me at first. I told him I'm opening this barbecue concept, and he's like, laughing, literally, like, who is this guy?
Oh my gosh.
Who is this weirdo? And nowadays, he is, I talk to him about everything. One of my best advisors, knows operations inside out.
Sure. And
has introduced me a lot of people that are very knowledgeable in the business and point me in the right direction.
Okay.
So, and that, I think that's probably going to be another one of our, episodes where we talk about surrounding yourselves with the right people to be able to do expansion and, other projects.
Grow personally and professionally.
Yeah, I think everybody should have a psychologist.
Noted. I have one, so.
Find one.
I get it.
That doesn't do Zoom. I want to do it live.
He just wants to go in person.
Yeah, I've been telling her that I want to go in person.
She's not ready.
She better get ready because I'm over it.
I'm over it.
I'm over this Zoom thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I got.
That's what we got.
Okay, so we'll see you all in episode 2.
Carry a check.
Carry a check. It's in my other wallet. I don't have it here right now.
Oh my gosh.
It's in my car.